Coming in at number 10, we have SCP-1591. So SCP-1591 is a big, beautiful, levitating glass star sculpture. It seems that at the core of the sculpture, there is glass in the shape of a star weighing around 12 kilos. This in turn is surrounded by further coloured glass panels weighing 12 kilos each. It's a heavy enough star. Here's a picture for those of you struggling to visualise, and really a picture is all you want here because you actually couldn't look at this SCP directly. It seems that SCP-1591 is kept in a room with 30 high-intensity spotlights pointed right at it. These spotlights need to be replaced monthly. Why? Well, SCP-151 produces a light of its own, which increases in brightness and intensity over time, especially in dark environments. When its light shines on a solid object, it at first becomes transparent and then slowly fades away, hence why the spotlight needs replacing as they slowly break down and stop working. Now, if a person is directly exposed to the light, they will lose the ability to speak and will try and run away. Unfortunately though, the light will destroy them, eventually making them disappear. It seems that SCP-1591's power was increased when the site was bombed in the World War. It seems that as time goes on, the brightness of the lights used to quell 1591 needs to increase. For example, if a 40-watt bulb contained it a week ago, by now it will need a 60-watt, so on and so forth. Each month when the spotlights are replaced, they have to get brighter. Now this SCP can only be stopped by bright lights, but eventually we'll run out of lights bright enough. When we do, it will start evaporating things on Earth, everything around it. I guess our only option is to take it to the sun. Okay, I'm a drama girl, so I will absolutely bite. I love the concept behind SCP-701, but it's deadly. Information coming here at number 9. SCP-701 is a 5-act play named The Hanged King's Tragedy. There are multiple copies of the play on lockdown in an anonymous storage site in the SCP Foundation. The observed behaviour surrounding SCP-701 is as follows. A group of people decide to do a play, The Hanged King's Tragedy, and as they start rehearsing it, they notice that the content changes every time they meet up, but they don't really realise it, just something weird's going on. As the play begins for its opening night, it's a sellout, a mysterious figure, SCP-701-1, appears on the stage at the end of Act 1. Now the figure is a tall humanoid dressed in black with a hood over its head. The audience noticed, but the cast do not. The audience obviously think it's part of the play, and they're enjoying it. He then continues to appear at intervals before officially coming on stage as the Hanged King during Act 5. Under his gaze, the cast then begin to kill themselves on stage until they're all dead. This is when the audience realise that actually this is no play. Riots break out in the audience, and if any audience member manages to leave, they do so in a daze, committing random acts of violence until they're killed or intercepted by members of the SCP Foundation. If audience members survive and are treated, they're often psychotic for the rest of their life. Some may have no memory of the incident. The reason this SCP could end the world lays in the fact that a VHS and DVD of the performance exists. Anyone who watches it would be prone to hateful and violent outbursts. One play that I don't think I'd enjoy. Coming into number 8, we have SCP-173. The sculpture. This SCP is all of your weeping angel nightmares come true, although we all do have to enjoy the rhyme of saying SCP-173. Absolutely none of us wants to be around this super creep though, I'm telling you. SCP-173 is on lockdown in a sealed container in Unit 19 of the SCP Foundation. The SCP itself has been known as the art piece, as it looks like some kind of ghoulish contemporary art sculpture from hell. Before we talk about the main concern with the SCP, I'd just like to highlight that it seems to seep feces and blood, which is pretty damn unsanitary. Aside from that though, like with the weeping angels in Doctor Who, you basically never ever want to close your eyes around it. Why? Because if you do, it will come closer and closer to you, and when it does finally get to you, it will snap your neck at the base of your skull. It's a killer, so no blinking. The SCP-173 will not stop until everyone who has ever blinked in its presence is dead. So next up, we kind of basically have the exact opposite of SCP-173 at number 7. We have SCP-096. So, I'm not going to show you a picture of SCP-096. Instead, you can look at me. You'll find out why. Often referred to as the Shy Guy, SCP-096 will get you. I guess they all get you in the end, don't they? SCP-096 is kept in a locked steel cube and is checked up weekly for cracks and holes. There can be absolutely no CCTV or video surveillance of any kind when it comes to SCP-096. Any images of this SCP must be destroyed. You can't even draw it. Why? SCP-096 is a humanoid-looking creature with long limbs. It has blank, pale eyes, and its jaw can open 4 times wider than that of a normal human. Unlike with SCP-173, you can't look at it, ever. If you do look at it, it will freak out and kill you. Exactly how it kills you is classified. SCP-096 is noted for freaking out, crying, screaming, and becoming crazed when people look at it. Similarly, if a picture or a recording is taken, it will go crazy and kill. It seems that even looking at a photo or video of this SCP can kill you too. Exactly how? Once again, I don't know. How could it destroy the world? Well, if enough people saw it, hello, dead. Coming into number 6, we have SCP-1048. Okay, but like an SCP that looks like a teddy bear. I mean, that absolutely can't be good news, can it? And no, it isn't. SCP-1048 at first seems like a lovable teddy. Cute. It can move of its own accord, communicate through cutesy gestures, and loves hugs. Or so it seems. But it is all a ruse. SCP-1048 will often hug people's legs and draw childlike pictures and give them as gifts. It will even dance and jump, anything to make someone like it. But make no mistake, a lot like people who try hard in life, SCP-1048 is pure evil, something the SCP Foundation discovered the hard way. On one occasion, the SCP was observed having entirely replicated itself out of metal scraps. It seems that SCP-1048 has the ability to replicate using any given material, and for this reason, no teddy bears are allowed in the SCP Foundation whatsoever. Prior to the ear incident, this SCP was free to roam its holding site, but following the nightmare, the Foundation realized its true intentions. Oh, what was the ear incident? Let me tell you. It seems that SCP-1048 replicated itself out of human ears, removing the ears of all of the people around it within a 10-meter radius. A teddy bear made of ears. On one occasion, it appears that the SCP was able to abort a pregnant staff member's baby as it began replicating itself with baby parts. Honestly, a world filled with SCP teddy bears that pretend to be cuddly but then use deception and murder in order to replicate, honestly, it sounds like a dangerous world to me. Coming into number 5, we have SCP-1471. SCP-1471 will wreak havoc with your mobile devices. It's a free app usually named Mallow or version 1.00 in app stores. Now there's no listed developer and somehow it's able to bypass approval. Once the app has been downloaded, users won't see any icon or shortcut and they will not be able to delete it. They're doomed. The SCP will then begin sending images to the phone every 3 to 6 hours. The image will contain SCP-1471-A, a humanoid with a goat-like skull with black hair. In the first 24 hours, the images will show the figure at locations frequented by the individual who downloaded the app. In the following 24 hours, the SCP will show up at places recently visited by the individual. After 72 hours, the individual will receive real-time images of SCP-1471-A within close proximity to them. Those who have had the app for 90 hours or more will begin to visualize SCP-1471-A within their peripheral vision, or even their reflections, or both. From then on in, it's a downward spiral. Individuals will actually see the SCP, who will try and communicate with them in a language that they don't understand. So, how could this end the world? Well, almost everyone has a phone, and this SCP will send people mad thinking they're seeing a skull with hair and crazy eyes. While this SCP has never been reported to have killed anyone, with people losing their minds around it, it would be hazardous to mental health and productivity. People wouldn't get any work done in a best case scenario. In a worst case, they would cause accidents or perhaps even try and gouge out their own eyes, which, again, infections. Nightmare. Puss. This SCP will send you insane at number 4. We have SCP-055. This SCP is literally unknowable. It's unknowable by definition. Whatever it is, it makes humans forget about it. Information about it just leaks out of humans' brains. It's a self-keeping secret. It is placed at Site 19, although how the facility was built, we don't actually know. All we know is that Site 19 is 5 by 5.2.5 in meters. What am I going to do with this information? Like, nothing. We don't know what's in this space, and those who go on to investigate it forget. Research has been conducted on those those who have been exposed to the SCP, and it seems that the only way of knowing it is by a series of yes-no answers. Now the loophole here is that while you can't know what it is or say what it is, you can know what it isn't. It seems one person question was asked if it was a sphere, to which they said no, but afterwards they didn't know what they were being asked, so not a sphere. Good. Great. What is it? Well, we don't know. To me, this makes me worried because it means we have no idea what it's up to. It could absolutely be plotting to end the world, and knowing the SCP Foundation, it probably is. Shall we start with a picture at number 3 to get the ball rolling? Sure, here it is. This is SCP-610, and it's an infection that causes serious and grotesque mutation. Hurrah, and we're back to pus again. Exposure to SCP-610 at first leads individuals to develop an itchy rash along with skin sensitivity. The rash will turn into heavy lesions and areas of what look like fresh scar tissue. These scar tissue wounds will then consume the whole body, and the process gets even quicker in warm conditions. It can take anywhere from 5 minutes in hot conditions to 5 hours in cold conditions, and it can absolutely destroy a person. The infected then no longer resembles a person and starts functioning at very high speed. The infected skin will start to grow rapidly and move of its own accord, with limbs becoming long and then branching out like roots, forming other fleshy limbs. Blah. Without containment, they will continue to grow, and any living organism who touches it will become infected too. Infection is spread by touch, and sometimes even spores in the air. The infection was first noted in Siberia, and while it has been contained, it hasn't been destroyed. The areas infected continue to be so, and they are protected by SCP under the guise of military operations. If the containment was breached, then this infection could absolutely destroy the world. Coming into number 2, we have SCP-1548. Well, to me, this really is the baddie to end all baddies, except our number 1, of course. SCP-1548 is cosmic, and it wants us dead. SCP-1548 is a living star, an evil solar system moving towards us at breakneck speed. It seems this SCP was first discovered in the 1970s, with astronomers thinking it was simply another star, until it started moving towards us at increasing speed. Oh, and it's speaking to us via radio signals. It's a sentient star. Hurrah! So, what's it saying? That it wants to destroy all life in its path and it finds us pathetic. Good! Oh, and it also knows we're watching it too. How will it destroy us? Well, it seems it will steal us from our sun's orbit and then gobble us up in its fiery mouth. How long until it reaches us? Well, that's classified. Finally, coming into number 1 when you thought it couldn't get any worse. It does. It's the Scarlet King. The original SCP, or the original evil. The Scarlet King was originally named as SCP-001 until the SCP Foundation realized that actually he cannot be categorized as he is malice itself. Let me explain. It seems that the Scarlet King is a creature, to quote Jack Finch, whose sole demonic occupation is to usher in Armageddon and the end of all creation. Sure. The Scarlet King is the most malevolent entity in the universe and was born alongside the Tree of Knowledge, or so they say. The Scarlet King is as old as knowledge itself, and it seems that he's the overlord of darkness itself too. So basically, he's the devil. The actual devil. It's said that the Scarlet King is an elder god who has the power to conquer and destroy entire worlds, let alone civilizations. What's his beef? Well, he's declared war on creation itself, so not great. The SCP Foundation seems to think that any manifestation of evil is at the bidding of the Scarlet King. So a god as old as understanding, who's made it his sole purpose to end creation? I mean, it doesn't sound like a party I want to be at, does it? If you want to know about this SCP, we've got a video all about it on Life's Biggest Questions, basically the home of all kinds of SCP content.
Starting off at number 10 now, we have SCP-049. This is a humanoid creature, but that's where the similarities with humans end. To the untrained eye, 049 looks like a medieval plague doctor dressed in thick robes and a ceramic mask. These aren't just clothes though, they are actually part of its physical body. They grow out from it. Despite its creepy appearance, it's actually quite cooperative with the Foundation and can speak English or medieval French. However, even the most hospitable skips have their limits, and 049 is no different. It hates pestilence. That's all it ever seems to talk about sometimes. The definition of pestilence is still unknown to this day. 049 sometimes identifies people as having pestilence and begins to get visibly irate around them. If that person is not removed from the area, 049 will attack. It kills by one touch. One touch from 049 will kill any living thing that it wants. All biological functions just seem to shut down. 049 seems to be frustrated and remorseful after the killing, especially if it feels the pestilence has somehow survived. It will then perform a crude surgery on the corpse using strange tools from a black doctor's bag it carries with it everywhere. It will then reanimate the corpse, although it won't be the same person as before, retaining only basic motor skills. 049 can then instruct them to do its bidding, even to attack others affected with pestilence. 049 has often referred to these zombie-like servants as being cured of the pestilence. I guess we should all hope that we don't have pestilence, but until we learn what 049 actually means by that, I guess everyone is in danger of being cured. Next up at number 9 now we have SCP-096. This skip is kept in an airtight steel cube at the Foundation. I think that sets the tone quite well. Because of the high security around 096, not much is known about it other than it's very dangerous. It's said to be a humanoid creature measuring approximately 7 feet 8 inches tall. It has very little muscle mass, possibly from malnutrition. It's a horrific looking creature. Its arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of its body. Its skin is almost translucent without a trace of body hair. That's not even the scariest part though. Get this, if a person sees the face of 096, they will be attacked and killed within 2 minutes. Always. You don't even have to see it in person. You can be looking at a picture of 096. It will still somehow know you've seen its face and it will find you and kill you. That's why they keep it in the steel cube at the Foundation. They just need to make sure there are no pictures nearby either. Next up at number 8 now, we have SCP-1471. 1471 is an app. Yeah, it's not actually a physical entity. It's a 9.8 megabyte phone app that appears in phones. Somehow it bypasses all security measures, and once it's installed by the user, it cannot be removed. No icons are shown on the phone, making the user wonder if they even installed it in the first place. 1471 will then begin to send images to the user every few hours. All of them will include the physical version of 1471, a large humanoid figure with a canine-like skull and black hair. Perhaps the creepiest thing about these images though is that 1471 will always appear in settings that the user knows from their own life. If the user does not stop using the app after seeing the images within the first 90 hours of exposure, 1471 will begin appearing in their real life, always in the corner of their eye, sometimes even trying to communicate with them. Next up at number 7 now we have SCP-173. This is perhaps one of the weirdest looking skips on this list. I think the picture speaks for itself. Its origin is unknown, and everything about it seems to be learnt from its confinement by the Foundation. Those who have dealt with 173 know a few different ways to handle it. The most important is to always keep it in direct line of sight. It cannot move if it's in a person's line of sight, which is a good thing because it's dangerous. For some unknown reason, it produces a layer of blood and feces on the floor around it. This means that its cell needs to be cleaned out twice a week. 3 personnel will enter the cell, one of them to just clean, while the other 2 are simply there to stare at 173. If one of them needs to blink, they need to inform the other one first. If both blink at the same time, 173 will attack and kill. Its choice of attack is to snap a human's neck at the base of the skull or by strangulation. I guess we should all practice not blinking then. I just blinked. Moving on to number 6 now, we have SCP-682. The entry for this skip simply starts with SCP-682 must be destroyed as soon as possible. Yeah. It's a serious one. Despite the calls for it to be destroyed as soon as possible, there is actually no known way to destroy this entity. It is beyond the powers of the Foundation. They only know how to contain it, and it takes a lot. 682 should be contained in a 5x5x5 meter chamber with 25 centimeters of reinforced acid-resistant steel plate lining all inside surfaces. The chamber should then be filled with hydrochloric acid until 682 is completely incapacitated. It's been described as a reptilian kind of creature with extremely high intelligence, able to communicate with other skips that it's been exposed to. During the limited time that it's been studied, observers think 682 has an immense hatred for all other life forms. That doesn't help the Foundation control or combat it, but knowing its primal motive is a step in the right direction. Moving on to number 5 now, we have SCP-1981. 1981 is an old Betamax tape. On the side of it is written Ronald Reagan cut up while talking. The film on the tape appears to be a homemade recording of former US President Ronald Reagan delivering his evil empire speech to a group of evangelicals in 1983. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until about 1 minute and 10 seconds in. Then the speech begins to deviate heavily until it becomes unrecognizable as the speech everyone has on record. At 5 minutes in, wounds can be seen slowly appearing on the president's face. Despite the severity of the lacerations, the president continues to give his speech until either his vocal cords are severed or the tape degrades into static around the 22-minute mark. Here's where it gets even weirder though. Rewinding 181 and watching it from the start changes the speech that Ronald Reagan is giving. The topics vary with each new speech, although they often focus on torture, child abuse, and ritual sacrifice. Sometimes a black figure with robes on appears near Reagan, often referred to as SCP-1981. Sometimes Reagan makes references to future events that hadn't actually happened at the time of recording, such as 9/11. For an old tape, it's caused quite the stir at the Foundation over the years, and nobody is really any closer to solving its mysteries. Moving on to number 4 now, we have SCP-106. While some of the skips we've talked about before have been scary because of their immense strength or size, 106 is just creepy. It's said to resemble an elderly human in an advanced stage of decomposition. It's basically a rotting zombie. It also likes to consume humans between the ages of about 10 to 25. Like a traditional zombie, it's not very quick or flexible and can remain motionless for days at a time. Unlike a zombie though, it uses corrosion to break down any material that stands in its way. A captured 106 must be contained in a sealed container, specifically made with lead-lined steel. The specifications for how this cell is supposed to be constructed are possibly the most technical I've seen. There are detailed instructions on materials, layers, and the space between them. There is a reason for this though. Research and observation have shown that when 106 is faced with highly complex or random structures, it can become confused and unable to exit from its containment. Moving on to number 3 now, we have SCP-2006. SCP-2006 deals in fear. That's not my description, that's how it describes itself. According to sources, 2006 has repeatedly stated its goal of causing as much fear in the world as possible. Guidelines state that if it's captured, it must be constantly monitored for changes in form. That's right, it's a little bit of a shapeshifter. Despite this, there is a general description often given. It's said to be an anomalous spherical entity, roughly 50 centimeters in diameter. However, due to its transformative abilities, it can morph into any object of any shape, mass, volume, density, and chemical structure that it desires. Due to this, there is currently no known way to damage 2006. Perhaps more worryingly, the limits to its shapeshifting powers are also not known. It could be anything, anywhere, at any given time. Like I said before, this SCP deals in fear. There's just one hitch though. It's said to be a poor judge of what actually scares humans and the emotions we feel. With the power of almost perfect shapeshifting, these small flaws may be the only chance people have in detecting this strange being. Next up at number 2 now, we have SCP-993. The last one I spoke about was a creature. This is a television program. Let me explain. SCP-993 is a children's TV show called Bobble the Clown. Sounds innocent enough, right? It's an educational cartoon with the primary plot of most episodes involving Bobble the Clown learning a new skill or activity. Okay, so far so good. The problem comes though when the program is being viewed. Anyone watching aged 10 years or older will immediately fall unconscious when the program begins and will remain that way until the end of the episode. Most of the under 10s interviewed after the event reported a stabbing headache immediately before blacking out. And finally, number 1 now, we have SCP-087. 087 is quite simply an unlit platform staircase. When I say unlit, I mean very unlit. This small stairwell has defied everything we know about light. Even using a 75-watt bulb, nothing can be illuminated on this stairwell more than about 1.5 levels down. The darkness just seems to swallow up excess light. It's not just the light that creeps people out here though, it's the sound. Reports and audio recordings appear to show a distressed vocalization from a young child. The voice comes from 200 meters below where 087 1997 begins. The Foundation has sent exploration teams down there to see just how far the stairwell goes. They've descended in the pitch black darkness and the stairs just never seem to end. The teams descend both beyond the possible structure of the building and its geological surroundings. The child's voice always remains 200 meters below them too. They never get any closer. Also, on each of these expeditions, the teams were met with a strange face with no pupils, nose or mouth. It appears for a moment before disappearing back into the darkness. The Foundation knows nothing more but suspects it is not the source of the child's voice from the depths.
Starting off this countdown, we have SCP-1959. SCP-1959 has yet to be contained by the Foundation. It is identified as a white spacesuit similar to the Soviets' SK-1. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is a random spacesuit floating in space so scary? Well, the suit is indestructible, and the helmet's visor is damaged and misted over so we can't see what on Earth is in the spacesuit. Not only that, but it emits a lot of gamma radiation. SCP-1959 is said to continuously orbit around the Earth at a fairly consistent speed. It has been observed to change between low to high Earth orbit. Also, if it encounters any space objects as it's orbiting, well, it just rams right through them. Now, this SCP is capable of moving independently, but most of the time it remains motionless, just drifting through space. Another scary fact is the Foundation once observed SCP-1959 trying to break its own visor during a period where it seemed distressed. So, who is this creature and what does it want? I wish I had the answer to that question. In our 9th spot, we have SCP-2362. SCP-2362 can be best described as an object about 900 kilometers in length that is bell-shaped with 13 trailing appendages, making it look somewhat like a jellyfish. It was discovered in 1983 by Foundation researchers. It has been observed to emit a blue light, which is visible from Earth by a high-powered telescope. SCP-2362 has the ability to propel itself by expanding and contracting its appendages. As of now, we really don't know what to expect from SCP-2362. It's best that we just continue to keep its existence a secret from the public. Moving on to number 8, we have SCP-007. SCP-007 is sadly not 007, so it's not James Bond. SCP-007 is a really weird mass of microplanets that is located in a humanoid's body. The humanoid is an unnamed 25-year-old Caucasian man, and he basically has a whole version of Earth just chilling in his abdomen. Although the man is missing his abdomen, he's not suffering. Instead of normal flesh on his abs, he's got a sphere composed of soil and water. This sphere has its own weather patterns and gravitational pull. He's also got microscopic organisms living in it. When he was asked about the thing growing in his stomach, he said, and I quote, "I just woke up one day and there it was. I don't have any idea how it got there." Weird. Currently, he's confined to a 10 by 10 meter living area that he cannot leave. In our 7th spot, we have SCP-1694. SCP-1694 is a bunch of remains from an extraterrestrial nanotechnological device that was deployed on the surface of Venus. We don't know by who, when, or why. But what we do know is that the entity is 2 millimeters in length, can self-replicate, repair itself, and quickly extract resources. It's said that SCP-1694 is extremely aggressive towards all organic matter, whether it be living or dead. So we need to stay away. If it encounters any organic matter, then it will shred the object quickly, and then reassemble it to create a mass with more sophisticated organs and durable appendages. It can even take dead tissue or matter and then reconstruct that. Coming in at number 6, we have SCP-4524. SCP-4524 is an astronomical body about the same size as our moon, except it's made completely out of human cells. As a result, it's thought that this SCP was once a humanoid creature, but over the years, it adapted to this weird, massive space body. When SCP-4524 was first discovered, the Foundation planned to send humans on a mission to explore it. But it was deemed too dangerous, so they sent a rover instead. And the rover came back with some very interesting findings after collecting a variety of samples. For example, the soil was made up of dead skin cells. The exterior building material was muscle tissue and bone marrow, and the liquid in the river was a mixture of bodily fluids like urine and sweat. Now the Foundation is just working on keeping its existence a secret. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with SCP-5060. SCP-5060 is a terrestrial exoplanet with an unusually high number of satellites. It's currently impossible to contain. As of January 2020, it is said that it has 1,260 satellites. Every 15 to 26 years, SCP-5060 launches a new satellite. So it's believed that there is some kind of extraterrestrial civilization there. SCP-5060 is said to be roughly 0.95 times the radius and 0.9 times the mass of Earth. Its atmosphere is very dense, consisting of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, argon, and sulfur dioxide. As a result, the planet's surface cannot be viewed by visible light from space. The Foundation has attempted multiple times to land probes on the planet, but upon entry they always lose communication. On top of that, SCP-5060 does not like probes. As a result, it usually causes it to become aggressive and fire attacks, especially when the probes try to recover material from it. No probes have ever managed to escape or survive the attacks. Coming in at number 4, we have SCP-5845. SCP-5845 is a region on Mercury located from Mercury's magnetosheath to its crust, to its mantle, and then the outer core. In order to enter this area, you need a head-on trajectory towards its surface at a very high speed. However, once inside, you'll experience auditory hallucinations. Some have heard roosters crowing or cawing or whatever noise they make, or rams bleating. These will only increase as you approach SCP-5845's sphere. At this time, containment of SCP-5845 is not necessary, as it takes quite a bit to actually access this SCP. Moving on at number 3, we have SCP-3485. SCP-3485 is located 17 light years away from Earth and has been described as looking like a large lobster. Emphasis on the large part. So in comparison, the sun's diameter is about 1.39 million kilometers. This creature is larger than the sun. From head to tail, it measures at 1.56 million kilometers. SCP-3485 was first discovered by an amateur astronomer back in 1999, but when he tried to publish his findings, a lot of people made fun of him. Like, hello, who's gonna believe a ginormous lobster? But then in 2001, the SCP Foundation discovered SCP-3485 for themselves. SCP-3485 is said to be abnormally resistant to damage. In addition, it can withstand radiation when coming in contact with small stars. In fact, it feeds on star material. Now my question is, will it taste good with butter? Coming in at number 2, we have SCP-3493. SCP-3493 is a bunch of growing, extremely massive black holes located across multiple different universes. There's one located in each universe. Apparently, if anyone looks at any of these black holes, then they will experience a form of severe dementia. They will lose the ability to process any kind of information, meaning they can't create or retain memories or perform simple tasks or functions. SCP-3493 also has the ability to hide any information on itself. So in order to learn more about it, you have to travel to another universe and they will be able to interpret the data for you. And in our number 1 spot, we have SCP-2399. SCP-2399 was discovered back in 1963 and is described as a massive mechanical structure located in Jupiter's lower atmosphere. To us, it looks like a large red vortex, which is why it's sometimes called the Great Red Spot. Now, some say that this continent-sized structure is an alien spaceship that was sent to destroy Earth but accidentally crashed on Jupiter. Now it is slowly repairing itself. It does so by releasing small repair drones. Some of the drones stay to protect itself, while others go off looking for its missing parts. But despite its damage, it seems to have a limitless power supply, electromagnetic shielding, and matter-disrupting weaponry. It's currently repaired 59% of itself. We should be worried when it's 100% repaired.